Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another week in the Veg Grower Podcast world. Hopefully you can hear us okay. Slightly different setup, and obviously I'm not at home, not in the potting shed. He's just kicked the table and made it all fuzzy.
Sorry, was that me?
That was you. Anyway, how are we all doing? We're back here. For those that don't know, this is Lee Connolly, aka Skinny Jean Gardener. Well known for kids gardening, which is what we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. I want to know from you guys how you get kids gardening. Before that, we will go through what I've been up to over this last week. Got a few stories to tell you, I'll tell you that. But first of all, let's see if anybody is actually out there. The roll call. It's awful, that, isn't it? But it was a bit of fun.
What was that? Is that you saying
that? Was me saying, yeah, I was a bit bored. Roll call. I was a bit bored one day. So first of all, let's see who we've got out there. Ballycillian Allotment Man. Evening all. Missed last week's show. I wasn't too well, but better now. Glad to hear you are feeling better. Adrian is out there. Hello, Richard. Good evening to you.
I feel like you should salute them because it's the army.
Yeah, good point. Good evening, Veg Podcasters. Good evening to you, Turbo Stream. Idaho Garden Girl. Hello, Richard and everyone. I'm weeding my garden. I'll be listening, but probably not commenting. No problem. It's pleased to have you along anyway. Lovely to see you. Jenny Hullett is out there. Hello, everyone. Hope you are well. Muggy and horrible here, so gardening later for me. It's a bit muggy, actually, isn't it?
Right, muggy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mugging me right off.
Yeah. Hargrave Gas, evening everyone. Hope you've all had a good week. Hope you've had a good week too. Let's keep going. Nicola Cornish Heaven, evening Richard and Veg Growing Army. Good evening to you. Hopefully you can hear us all okay. I meant to say.
Anna Jones in the house. Sorry, I jumped.
That's right.
Jumping ahead.
Yeah, it's because I haven't got the usual setup. Hi, Richard and Lee. Hello, everyone from Anna Jones. Lovely to see you. Margaret Peacock is out there and saying can't get it on YouTube. Yeah, other people watching on YouTube. So must be your end in some ways. Richard Golden says, hello, twins. Good evening to you.
Hello, Richard.
Not Just Green Fingers UK blog, aka Lisa. It says, evening both. Good evening to you.
What's up, Lisa?
Beatrice is saying hello to everyone. And Margaret is also seeing neither of us can get it on YouTube. Don't know, but Nicola Cornish Heaven and a few others are watching through YouTube. So I don't know what's happening there at all. It's all streaming my end, I can see. So God knows what's happening. So he's just going to check, isn't he?
Just checking.
Just pull his phone out. So what have we been up to over this last week? Now, some of you may know, because I did mention this on the Supporters Club podcast on Friday. I've had a bit of it feels like every week has been full of events lately, but this week has been incredibly full of events, and it's made me think about things that we're going to discuss next week. I'll explain. My wife, Amanda, her mum had a minor stroke on Thursday, so we've had a lot of crazy evenings going on, as I'm sure you can all imagine. She's okay, so don't worry about that. She's still in hospital, but coming out soon. But this has been really difficult to try and get down the allotment. I popped down there Friday night. I've been trying to go down there every evening and just do a few bits on the way home from work, bit of weeding, bit of watering. Friday night, I was hoping to go down there, get the strimmer out, get the lawnmower out. Didn't have time for that. I managed just to do a little bit of weeding, a little bit of watering, harvested some tomatoes, potatoes, onions, those sort of things. So a lot of harvesting going on, a lot of good stuff like that. Yesterday I was at home. My nieces came over and they helped me pot up some of my plants. In fact, some of my fruit bushes that I've been buying lately, quite cheap, that put them into small pots, bigger than what they came in, but small pots to get them growing on. They've grown again, so they're going up into bigger pots until they reach their final sizes.
What is the final size going to be?
I'm looking at like the possibly 30 centimeters, maybe even 60 centimeter pots. Good looking ones, because these are going to go in the front garden a bit more.
Oh,
and
okay.
I want them to look good. I want them to be heavy so they can't be lifted.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's basically what I've been up to over this last week. What about yourself, Lee? Have you been up to any gardening?
I have actually, not in the sense of actual my own garden. I've been in. So we actually launched the Colchester Garden Festival just over a week ago, where I am in Colchester, and we have been sorting out. We've got 13 school gardens we've been creating with 13 primary schools, and just trying to make them survive. So we were really lucky that we had our local garden centre, Perrywood, resupply some plants that died. You know, we had that heat wave. Was it not last week? Was it the week before that? It was really hot.
Yes, I think it was. Yes, it was,
weren't it? Yeah. So we planted them up on the 15th. Then it was the 16th, 17th that weekend. Then the 18th and 19th of this month, we had that heat wave, the Monday and Tuesday, and it destroyed the some of the gardens, some of the school gardens. So this week we've been busy replanting them up with the team. I say we, I mean some of the team have been. I've been just pointing at stuff, and also doing some sow and grow sessions as well as part of the garden festival, which has been quite good. So we've been they're called Sow Grow Sounds sessions. So it's like DJing, music, and sowing and growing. So we've been doing that in town as well. So it's been a very gardeny week.
So you mentioned Colchester. What was it called?
It's called Colchester Garden Festival. It's the first year we've done it.
Right. Is this a new? Well, obviously a new thing. This is the first year you've done it. What was happening for this?
So what we've got is, so I don't know if you remember, we did the Skinny Jean Gardener Festival in do you remember what year that was?
2018, I think
2018?
Yeah.
So that was the first like little start of it, right? And that sort of bubbled. And then obviously we had everything that else happened after that, right? And then last year I spoke to a team from Colchester Bid, who they have a pot of money from all the businesses around Colchester to bring more people into the city. We're a city now, so, you know, to bring more people into the city. And we decided to do a Colchester Garden Festival to inspire people to look after their gardens more, grow more. And basically it's a month-long event where we've got these sow and grow sessions. Easy for you to say. We've got the theatre show, which we've just done today. We've got the school gardens. We did a school tour as well. There is other gardening events going on throughout the town, and and also we had Angler and Bloom pop over to judge us the other week through it. So, like I say, it's something. It's it's very, I say small. It's quite a big festival this year, but we're starting small and we're going to grow it throughout the years. And currently, it's been a success. We've only been running it for like a week and a bit, but it's been a big success at the moment. So it's quite nice.
Yeah. I mean, I've been up here today because Lee's done here as part of this a show in a theatre, which was a lot of fun. I've got to say.
Thanks, mate.
I had to set up and take photos and stuff. It was very different. I've seen you on stage at shows, but in a theatre, it had a real different feel to it.
Yeah, there's a different vibe, isn't there, to a whole theatre show. I am, again, all my stuff really helps my ego. So the theatre thing really helped the ego, but there was a different vibe to it, and I felt a different connection to the audience without like going into it like I'm some sort of Bono or something.
Yeah,
there was that different connection with the audience and them coming on stage and taking part of it. And I can see it happening again, man. It's gonna again. That's something else. All these sort of things start somewhere and then just grow and grow, don't they? So So no, it's been fun. It's exciting times.
Good. It's what I think towns need to do more of in the gardens. Gardening scene.
Yeah.
Right. So on the comments, Digwell has joined. Good evening to you, Digwell. Lovely to see you. Margaret Scott found us on YouTube. Gotcha. Digwell says, wish Amanda's mum well for me, please. We will do. I don't know if Amanda's watching, but it wouldn't surprise me.
She'll be watching. I'm on today. So.
Turbo Stream says, best wishes for Amanda's mum for me too. I'm behind on the podcast at the moment. No problem. We will pass that message on. Beatrice says, been dodging all the showers up here. Can someone please move the cloud that is above me? Best wishes to Amanda's mum. We had a bit of a shower, but not much. Nothing serious. Could do with a bit more, though. I don't know what's been like down south, which is very rare I get to say down south here. But I don't know what it's been like down south today. we haven't had rain for a long time. In fact, they were talking in the news that we're going to be heading for a drought.
Yeah, apparently, there's going to be. I heard someone talking today. There's going to be another heat wave. We're coming up to another heat wave.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So, I've heard that. Yeah, interesting times.
Yeah. Jenny says, I'd like to say Lee is amazing with what you do. I used to run a school gardening club with over 30 kids of all ages, making 7 gardens at lunchtime twice a week. Hard work, but so worth it.
Oh, I'm with you, Jenny. Mainly on the bit that you're saying I'm amazing. But yes, fantastic. Yeah, nice work. 7 gardens.
Yeah. Turbo Stream says, not been to my plot for a few days. The Commonwealth Games Marathon came past the allotment, so we're limited access this weekend. How annoying is that? How annoying is that when you can't get to your allotment because of...
It's the Commonwealth Marathon, like...
A marathon.
Yeah, it don't happen every day.
No, I know, but I would find that annoying, especially if you only have weekends free.
I suppose.
And then the council or the committees jump on you for not attending it. Yeah.
Events.
Turbo Stream said we had actual rain today, but not enough to make any difference. Well, we could do with it the hard way, certainly that. Grow Veg UK is joined. Afternoon all. Good evening to you.
Hello.
Jenny says, a question for Lee. Yes. Have you approached the Home Education Committee? Home educated my daughter for 18 months. I'm sure a package of family club can buy with support would be popular.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've talked about it on here before, but I do a primary school gardening plan, and I have been asked before about a home education one, and it's probably something that I'll look into and try and do it. It's the cost is. The problem I've got is the cost for the primary school one is as low as I can possibly get it. To try and do a home one, it could be done. I'll have a look into it, Jenny. Thank you for that.
Home one would be a very different package, but
it would be, but it's not impossible.
No,
it's just not impossible.
Put your head together and come up with ideas.
I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper now, Jenny, so I remember. All right, I'm writing my hand.
Nicholas says, I've not been doing the garden, had my sister down visiting, and been spending time in the beaches in the sun, rain, and mist. Nice, very nice.
Lovely
in
time.
Cornwall as well. How lovely is that?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. My dad has joined on Facebook. Good evening. Best wishes to Amanda and her mum. Thank you very much.
Hello, Ian.
And Rebecca, good evening, gentlemen. Sorry I'm late. Lost track of time in the garden. I don't blame you. It's these late evenings, isn't it? It does make you want to be outside.
Beautiful excuse, though, isn't it? We'll take it.
Yeah. Jenny says, thank you. If I can help, let me know.
Thanks, Jenny. I'll probably be in contact in the next couple of weeks and we can talk about it.
Yeah. So that kind of brings us nicely. Please do keep letting us know what you've been up to in your own gardens. I should say the phone line, unfortunately, isn't open today because I haven't got the setup out and about for this. But if you do want to zap yourself in, I can add a link in the comments right now for that, which is very difficult to do.
One-handed.
Without the mouse and stuff. But hey, there you go. Link is gone up if you do want to zap in. Now, the subject we want to talk about is summer holidays. Some people out there may have their children who are off school. Or you may have grandchildren, looking after grandchildren. And as you can gather by the conversations we've already had, Lee is one of the main people, I can't think of anybody else in the gardening world, who is trying to push the kids' gardening side of things at the moment.
Well, I have now called myself on my website the #1 children's gardening educator. What? Number one? The self-proclaimed number one. No, it's not me. It was about anyway. Children's gardening expert.
And I thought it would make a nice discussion tonight to talk about how you might get your kids involved in the garden.
Yeah.
Or not just your kids, any kids. What things would you do? Now, I come to this. I don't have children. So I was a bit... I've avoided these subjects because I don't feel I've got any authority to sort of say or any real experience. My nieces, and they were, as I said, they were around yesterday. They do come around. One of them does like a garden, and the other one not so much. So I have what I would class as a very limited experience on getting kids into gardening. But it has been done. I have done a little bit of it. And I find the best thing to do is to not push them, not force them. If they don't want to do it, don't force them into it.
Yeah.
Just gently encourage them into it.
Yeah. It's I think it's very easy. As soon as you become a parent, it's easy to like try and push that or force and like push any of your ideas really. But especially with gardening, trying to push those garden ideas, getting outside in the garden, saying, yeah, we're going to do this. If children aren't part of the idea and the planning of it, it's going to be a very difficult activity to do. And you don't want gardening to be like a couple of minutes outside doing something. You want it to be an activity for like, if you can do it, half a day at least.
Yeah.
Especially over 6 weeks holiday, we're at a point where, if you want to try and do stuff that's not going to cost a lot of money, the garden is your theme park.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget the 6 weeks holiday was originally designed for the children to be off school to help bring in the harvests from the parents.
Well, we should probably restart that, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, get kids working more.
I can't imagine many parents disagreeing with that. I think Olive would be down for that. Olive?
Olive is just down there, but she's hiding.
Don't come on, you can't come on.
No.
Would you be down for spending your 6 weeks harvesting the crops?
She's nodding her head.
She's saying no. It's a no from Olive. No. Okay, there you go.
But that's what it was originally designed for, to help in the farms and what have you, bring in the crops, which is a little known fact, but it is the fact, and that's because back in the day, farming was such an important part of our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we've moved on from that. Now, 2020. So you did a school tour. And it opened your eyes quite a bit up, didn't it?
Yeah, massively. I'll be honest with you, it massively opened my eyes up to what children have and what spaces they have as well. Because I'm here in Colchester, and we're very lucky. We've got pretty much every school has got a field to play in, or actually one down the road. I went to one of their schools the other week, and they've got a whole woodland. It's like Go Ape in there. Back of their school, but we're very lucky with the space we've got. And then I went on this tour in 2020, and we visited loads of schools around the country. And just for instance, like I went to Birmingham, and we went just outside of Birmingham, Suggs, and they had so much space. They had sheep, they had not cattle, but they had all sorts. It was like going to a farm. And then I went into Birmingham, and they just had tarmac, and it was just no space to grow at all, really. There was AstroTurf, there was tarmac playground, and it was a bit sad to see. And then obviously when I was chatting to the children, it's like, oh yeah, I don't really have any outside space. Like coming to school on this tarmac is my outdoor space. So it opened my eyes up to what families and children have around the country, which I perhaps think that I was a little bit naive to.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I avoid the subject, because I don't have kids. The closest I've got is Roxy the dog.
Like a kid.
Like a kid, but she's not a kid. She does come out into the garden, but she's hard work to control in a garden, which I guess is similar to a child. But that's the closest experience that I can say from my sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now Jenny has just came up with absolutely don't push, but make it fun. My two help me every day. Sometimes I physically need them to help, but often because they want to. My son mows paths. They love seed sowing and growing veg, etc., etc.
Yeah, if you bring everyone in on it, then it makes sense. It's a lot easier. If it's like a team effort, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a family, if you've got a family focus of what you're going to do, it makes things so much easier.
Yeah. Sorry, wrong one. And then she goes on to say, broke my heart years ago. Little lad never felt grass before, and I didn't know he could sit on it.
Wow, I've not had that before.
No, but I can understand.
I mean, on the grass side of things, I'll tell you one thing I have been doing, especially this year, is when I've been doing my sow and grow sessions, I've been speaking to a lot of the children. I had a little boy the other day who was like, oh yeah, we're going to get artificial grass because it's easy. And I was like trying to explain to him the benefits of having real lawn.
Yeah.
And especially when you've got people that have never felt real grass before. Do you know what I mean? It's
different experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's terrible, really, isn't it? We need to make sure that children realise it, especially for our future. If you really think about it, for our future,
yeah,
we need children to know the benefits of having that space.
Yeah. Not just Green Fingers UK blog, or Lisa, I could say for short. When my girls were young, they had a wonderful time at my allotment. We had a swing. They rode around on the site on their bikes. We had picnics. We looked for ladybirds, woodlice, bugs, etc. They made my pies, which children don't seem to do these days. My youngest had a small flower patch, whilst my eldest just ate everything that was ready, chives, fruit, etc., etc. It was impossible to do any work whilst they were there, but now they are grown up. They remember with fond memories.
That's it. I tell you what, I had my allotment before Olive. So I think I got rid of it just as Olive was born, just because my career was going somewhere else, and also I moved as well. So it made a big difference. But I wish that I had that allotment space still to take Olive to. Because we do a lot in the garden, we grow a lot in the garden, and we're looking to grow more with what we do. But to have that allotment space is quite special, and yeah, I can see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Ballystillion says, I found with the grandkids was to show them what I do, then give them their own raised beds to grow fast-growing things like radish, lettuce, etc., and don't bore them with rules, etc. Make it fun.
Yeah, I mean, especially with that, if you're given, I always do say that, give children their own space, because what you want to do is give them responsibility. Like gardening does two things for children, right? Firstly is responsibility and looking after plants. The hardest thing as a parent or a grandparent to do is watch children plant something, watch them grow, and then unfortunately watch sometimes children forget to water them, and the plants have to die, and you have to watch that as an adult, because children need to realize that if we want these plants to grow, they need to be watered, they need to be cared for. And unfortunately, I personally learn more from doing and seeing that happen than reading a book or being told it. So that's one thing. And then patience is another thing. If you're going to grow from seed, brilliant. If you're going to have a plant, whatever happens, plants and vegetables take time to grow. And we're in a world of like instant, like I can order something and probably get it by 10 p.m. not on a Sunday, but during the week. If I order it the same day, I can get something delivered to my house on the same day. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's not the same with plants. And I don't think we should ever try and make it the same. I always get people who say, oh, I know a good one for children to do is grow radishes. But I don't know many. Olive's here again. Olive, do you like radishes?
No.
No, I don't know many children that like eating radish. They may be quick to grow, and they might get that quick, like instant hit from it. But if they're not going to eat it, it's pointless in growing it.
Well, how do you know they're not going to eat it until they try? Is what I would say to that.
It's a very good point. Very good point. But if you want to try and get children to, my personal preference, if you want to get children to eat vegetables, maybe don't start with radish.
Yeah, I mean, I know peas are quite a popular one with children.
Peas are amazing. Olive can actually come out. Olive, you come out of school the other day with some sweet peas, didn't you?
Yeah.
And was like banging them out on the pod.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, on another note on that, I've forgotten what I was going to say now. So
sorry,
I'm going to move on.
I'm going to so ramble
I
on.
will. It will come to me. What was it? Oh no, I can't think what it was now. So we'll come back. When I remember, I'll let you know. Jenny says, not my little lad. It was an outdoor activity for schools. Digwell says, this week's subject is back to front. It should be, how do the kids get you to help in their garden?
How do the kids get you
to help in their garden?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he goes on to say his kids are in the 30s.
Wow, that is something I've not experienced yet.
Yeah. Jenny says, we have made worm viewing plant pots and seed grown mazes. So much that can be done. Sorry, it's a small screen. My two have the garden to do with as they please. They have lots of wildlife, long grasses and flowers, etc.
It's very important. I think that even I am guilty of not totally having a wild garden. I've tried it, but having those wild areas are really important, and make it easier for wildlife and for children. And not being too. I think my biggest tip is not being too precious, because especially young children. I remember Olive, when she was like 2 years old, she had a little area in the garden, used to throw bits of slate about, eat compost. And I mean, I don't recommend eating compost, but
especially not the peat-free stuff.
No, but there will be plants that you plant up one day, and the next day you go outside and the kids are digging them up or not throwing them about, but going to be digging up and moving them. And you sort of have to just go with that, because at least they're getting involved. And yeah, sure, they might die, but at least they're getting involved in it. So, don't be too precious. Same with your allotment.
Digwell says radishes are too peppery for most young children.
I think so.
Rebecca says, does anyone really like radish? Well, I do.
I actually don't mind it.
I like radish. I personally do.
Yeah. We don't have it very often, but yeah.
But I do understand they are quite a pungent flavour, or a powerful flavour. Mate, you don't like radishes. Is it a flavour?
Well, I've never actually tried one. I just look at them.
You're stitching me up. Go away!
Kind of proves my point, but at the same point, I know they are a powerful flavour. So Jenny says, sorry I keep commenting, but I love this subject. Don't worry, comment all you like. We also had Live in Small World play planted by the kids. So ferns and mini mountains for dinosaurs, miniature trees for small figures to play, etc. Loved it.
That's a really good thing. We've got fairy gardens, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which we like, and we've just changing around our garden a little bit.
And we're making like a little fairy bit.
Yeah, we're making like a little fairy garden. Again, it's about ownership as well. So bringing in them sort of things, even on the allotment, if you're going to have a little area for children to grow in, bringing those fun little things like little dinosaur bits and miniature trees and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you make it interesting for them, then they're going to get interested and use it and care for it as well. Care for them.
Yeah. Now, I'm just going to go back to this radish subject, actually, because it just occurred to me.
Yeah.
Pretty much all the packs out there that are designed for kids always feature radishes.
Yeah.
But pretty much everybody is saying that kids don't really eat radishes.
It's radish propaganda, basically. So what the government want you to do is eat more radishes. They think if you can get you at a younger age, then that will bring up the price of radishes in the future. It's quite a long con, but that's what they're doing.
Right. Is that what it is?
You heard it here first.
Or is it more because they're quite cheap to produce? They can sell them, and
they're quick.
Well, they are quick. They are quick. There's definitely that.
Do you know what? I think since I got into gardening, especially children's gardening, there was this thing where, and I still hear it a lot, with people saying we need to grow quick stuff for children. But I think the actual storyline should be we need to teach children patience.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Why do you think that?
Why do I think we should teach children patience?
Yeah.
Because good things come to those who wait. That's what I was always taught. And
you do say that.
I do say it, yeah. And like, if you work hard at stuff, like looking after a plant, or working in a job, or trying to be a gardener megastar, these things take time, don't they? And I mean, Richard, how long have you been podcasting for, Rich?
Be 10 years now, 9 years, 10 years next year.
Yeah, and things take time to like grow and progress and
flourish,
get better and flourish.
Yeah.
And I think we should teach that through gardening, but also, I mean, I don't want to be on like a young people, nightmares, but young people do. Not always, but sometimes come out of school and expect to be straight into a CEO job, and that's not the case in life. So gardening can teach that in its own little way.
That's reminded me what I forgot I was going to say, but I'll come back to that in a minute.
Okay.
Ordering and planting, says Anna Jones, bulbs for pots indoors is a good one. I used to love my little crocus pot when I was little.
Oh, there you go.
Now, I know that, Olive, you used to like planting bulbs as well. You were out there every day after planting and checking on them, weren't they?
Do you remember doing that?
Yeah, a few times.
We had loads of bulbs, and
I remember.
And I used to think that planting up bulbs was a rubbish one for children.
Why?
Until, well, I'll tell you, because I thought it was boring. And then I did it with Olive, and then the reaction from Olive. I can't remember how old you were when we did it on our walls, but the reaction from Olive when they started to pop through the soil, and again, every single morning waking up to see the progress, made me feel like, that was worth it. We had tulip bulbs all we were growing at the time.
Yeah. So I find that really interesting, actually, because I wouldn't have thought anybody was interested in growing bulbs at that age. But, yeah.
It's not until you do it. It's not until you experience it.
Belly Singing says, mine all love them. So many different varieties. You don't have to grow the basic French breakfast, etc. I agree. There's some nice coloured ones, even rainbow coloured ones, or you get into the mooly ones, which are the big ones. All tasty, all very, very tasty. And that was radishes he was talking about.
Yeah.
And Digwell goes on to say, like you say, radish fast growing, so early results. I think that's why it is, and they're cheap to produce. So I think they can mark them up because they're selling them to kids.
But it's misinformed that it's going to get children to gardening. I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Now, the comment I had in my head that I forgot about was all as Stuart Jackson. I know Stuart Jackson is unable to watch tonight. He's probably on holiday still, but he's always said this: is that he used to try and tell the kids that what he could sow, what could be sown that particular week or that next week, and try and control it. And in the end, he says this now, and I think this is something that we've said as well. He's decided that he'll just let the kids grow, and if it doesn't work, they learn from that faster than being told what to do. Is this something you found?
Can you just repeat it because I wasn't listening? What was it?
Basically, letting kids make mistakes. I'm under the impression that a lot of kids these days are not allowed to make mistakes.
No mistake. Well, it's being taught in schools more now. For instance, Olive, you don't have rubbers in your school, do you? Do you have rubbers in your school to
like what type of rubber?
To like rub out pencil?
We do, but the teacher keeps them on the shelf.
That's it.
And
yeah.
We have to
ask because a teacher likes to see mistakes because it's important that we do.
Also, the teacher said that we should cross out so the teacher knows, and then they put like a squiggle and then a little one or something. And
because it's important. We all run through life, mate. Again, we're going back to life lessons. Gardener can teach it though.
Yeah.
But we all make mistakes in life and we have to learn from them. So it's good to, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I know, I agree. Jenny says, gardening is also so important for children, young people's mental health. It can be a release for them. And also the one thing in my life they have some control and influence on. I completely agree with this. Lee had a child today. Do you want to say? Won't mention names.
I don't know if I want to share it. I don't know if I'll share the story, but I think the main point of it is that this child come up to me and spoke to me, and gardening and getting into gardening has massively helped her to be happy in her life. I think it's what I'll say.
I think it's a bit of a delicate because she was quite young, and
but it showed the power of what gardening can do.
Yeah.
I think that's the main subject point of it.
Yeah. So but on this, talking of mental health, I mean that brings me a bit early in the show to mention this, but next week I do want to talk about how gardening has helped your health, and this is what I mentioned when I mentioned about Amanda's mum. Something that we've been thinking about. So next week's subject, how gardening has helped your health. Getting in there early, but it seems appropriate with that comment.
Do you feel like gardening's helped with your mental health? Does it make you happy?
Yeah, because it's like good to be outside and do gardening.
Good to get outside.
Good to get outside and do gardening. Yeah, no, I agree. So far, we're all in agreement that kids should be taught gardening a lot more.
Did we mention this in my daughter here? I don't know if it's not a random child. That's just
yeah. We should explain for those that don't know. This is Olive. Olive is Lee's daughter.
Hi.
She's very much Lee's role model in this particular field.
My little inspiration right now.
Right. Rebecca says the power of gardening and nature is something else. Yeah, we can't disagree with that at all.
It really is. I never realised it to begin with, but I think gardening has definitely helped us all, especially over the last few years, what we've all had. So if you can get your hands in some soil, it definitely helps.
Yeah. So let's bring this back to the main question. How do you get your kids to help in your garden? Or as Digwa says, how do your kids get you to help in their garden? So I find this, as I said at the beginning, don't have kids. So I find this a very difficult one. But when my nieces do come over, one of them particularly, she'll take a coat off, take her shoes off, put her welly boots on, stamp around saying, I want to grow something.
Amazing.
And all I've ever done in the past for that is said to her, shall we go and grow something? Oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. Do you want to help? I've never pushed it.
Nope.
I've just encouraged it, I guess. And what I find that they really like is just growing, getting their hands in the soil, sowing those seeds, and getting dirty.
Yep.
Add to that what you will.
Lee Connolly.
Yeah.
I think I always cut down kids gardening into 3 sections. I think I might have said it on your podcast before. But grow your own, and it all relates to what we can put into our allotments as well. Grow your own, obviously. Wildlife and fun. So if you're not growing your own, if you're not learning where your food comes from, I think that's really important for children. A great starter. We're caring for the planet. We've got to look after wildlife. Before we came along with our buildings and houses and everything, the wildlife were there first. So we should definitely take care of them and welcome them back in. And finally, fun. If you've not got fun in the garden, then children are going to get distracted and just want to go back and watch. What would you go and watch if not?
I don't quite know what you mean.
What you go and watch on telly if you probably
go? The football.
Well, not the football, clearly, because you're not watching it.
Gardening has got her out and about.
So it all comes down to them, really.
Yeah. Jim M says, my nephew and my nieces get involved if I pay them. Fair enough. 2 plots mown and trimmed for £10 is a bloody bargain.
Money is obviously, if we've got the money to get kids doing it, they'll do it. Olive, will you go and cut the lawn for a tenner?
I don't know how to cut the lawn, so no.
Just don't know how to cut the lawn yet. Okay, right, we'll work on that.
But I don't think that's a poor point, to be fair. I'm a firm believer in that kids need to realise they have to earn money, especially when they grow up.
That's not like, you wouldn't just ask somebody, like, it's not illegal just to say, like, cut a lawn for tenner.
What do you mean?
Like, you wouldn't just say, it's not right to say, cut the lawn for a tenner.
Oh, you wouldn't do it?
I wouldn't do it.
Oh. 20?
No money.
Oh, you'll do it for free?
Right. You would do it for free?
Yeah.
There you go. What can I say? Remember that. Record that. Clip that
bit. Yeah, we'll save that for future prosperity. That's very good of you, Olive, I've got to say. But at the same point, I do think it's important that children realise that money has to be earned and where it comes from.
Yeah.
It doesn't just grow on trees. Otherwise, we'll all be growing them. Jim M says they are learning to earn money at a young age, just like I did.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. It's nice.
Yeah. And then she goes on to say, come and do mine, Olive.
Oh, now you've got people asking you to come and do their lawns. What are you going to say to that? Busy. Bit busy at the moment.
Bit busy. But this is where I find this fascinating. This is where gardening has so many lessons involved and so many things we can teach children. Money, and that you have to earn money is one thing. History. A lot of people don't realise how much history there is in plants. Something like the humble potato that was brought over by Sir Walter Raleigh, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's Sir Walter Raleigh.
Yeah.
From the Americas when they were first discovered. So that whole history is there, and yet we eat potatoes like, well, they're considered a staple.
Just potatoes, isn't it?
400 years ago, maybe a bit more than 400 years ago. We didn't know about them here.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. What would you put with McDonald's? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I do like my McDonald's.
Gardening.
Gardening. Let's take a quick break and have a look at some of the photos that have came in quickly. Now, Stephanie, Idaho Garden Gal, she has sent me a photo of her garden. Unfortunately, because I was out and about today, I couldn't quite get it onto the usual thing that I do. So apologies to that, but I will do it next week with the extra couple.
Your photos, because we all love to see what you are doing. Is that what is that?
Love. It should be love.
Oh, love. It's a typo. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll let you off.
Now, Jenny's chilies, I believe these are chilies anyway. They look like chilies to me and are looking great. They're nice size, actually, aren't they?
Are they chilies? Because I've not seen, what colour are they?
Yeah, so there are different colours from the red ones you usually see.
You can get with a multitude of colours like
colours.
that. Next, she's been doing some companion planting.
Oh, well, it seems to be working.
It seems to be working. All those bugs are on their companion plants.
It's working.
It's working well. She's also sown some Thai basil from the Supporters Club seeds, which was last month's.
Nice work.
And they came up looking great as well. Thai basil is beautiful.
That's nice.
Yeah. Beatrice has been harvesting. She said she's going to the allotment in the morning because it's so warm. But she's harvested quite a collection there. Some broccoli, cauliflower, courgettes, beans, and some potatoes.
Some potatoes. Do you know what? I've not sown. Do you know what I'm going to do? 100% next year is sow courgettes, because I know we always talk about a glut, but I've not done courgettes for a couple of years now.
Do you actually eat courgettes?
Yeah, you can really. You watch next year. We'll have courgette with everything.
Yeah. Stephen has sent this photo of his garden, which I think is looking fantastic. Considering this was a lockdown project.
Garden.
Who's his garden?
Stephen, he comes on the podcast every now and then.
Oh yeah, Stephen.
A lot of plants. It's a vegetable patch. He's got a tiny allotment down the road, but lockdown, he built this and it's looking good. Yeah. Looking very good. Ian as well has harvested this lot too. A lot of harvesting going on this week.
It's a good time for it.
He says today's crop includes kohlrabi and amaryllis.
Well, that's nice work.
Keep sending those photos in. Indeed. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So, good lot of photos there, isn't there?
Yeah, good time to harvest. I suppose it's a good time to harvest. I suppose, especially in this weather, you don't want things to wilt away, do you? So you might as well.
Yeah. Right, Jenny says gardening teaches everything, doesn't it? Maths, science, geography, history, life skills, planning, forecast, and problem solving.
Honestly, I mean, one of the things we did with a school success plan was it makes it just so easy. I mean, it's an easy job to try and fit that sort of stuff into what we do. So, there's so much. You're right, Jenny. There's so much you can fit into it.
So, for those that don't know what the school gardening success plan is, that's a bit of marketing for you, but we can just explain briefly.
So basically, it's a plan that we send into schools. It's primary school based. It's free lessons every single month. They're video lessons. We give all the equipment to the schools that are based around those lessons. And then we offer teacher support, which means the teachers can get involved and ask us questions. And that means we can reply to them and make sure that their class continues to garden. So it's good. I'm very excited about it. It's one.
So I mean, I think certainly we're all so far we've been talking about lots of basically growing plants, growing fruit and veg, growing plants to get our children involved. And I think that's probably quite a key thing, but gardening's more than the plants, I feel anyway. The plants are 90% of it, but then there's other things that we can do in gardening. Now, one thing that I know Olive likes, as a bit of an idea for anybody who might not be or might be looking for something that you're looking to do with children, is the cardboard castle.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about this?
What was
the cardboard castle. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Go ahead. So what is it?
Well, it's a castle made of cardboard. Yeah.
Shall I show it? So anyway, right.
Yeah.
So it's a good one. This is a good one for down the plot or down in your garden,
Well,
or wherever you are, really.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure some of us got some big old boxes that we've had a delivery from. I mean, you may not have done, but there's not. You could use anything for this in some ways.
Oh, definitely. But I guarantee someone on your street will have some cardboard to get rid of.
Yeah.
It's always the way, isn't it? When you order the tiniest of things, that turns into and it comes in the biggest of parcels.
Yeah.
So it really simple. And Nola's flicking through the book now.
I'm trying to find it.
Just having a look through the book. It's simply a wooden frame, and then you get cardboard boxes. You paste them around the side. You can staple them in or screw them in. And then you cut out a hole in the front. Have you found it?
Yeah.
Here we go. Olive will show you. Show the picture, Olive.
So that's a picture of me, what I've done.
So try. Oh, okay. Do you want me to bring it to the camera? Go to the camera. So this is Olive in a cardboard castle. There you go. I don't know if you can see that.
And if you can see us building it.
And you can see some pictures of us building it. But basically, it just makes a little cool. Okay, there's a little cool den for kids to create. All right, kids to create and chill out in and enjoy. And the main reason we come up with it was because we brought a £250 wooden house. And Olive used it a few times and then never used it again. And
only because there's spiders in there.
Only because there's spiders in there. And I thought there must be a cheaper way of doing this rather than spending a ridiculous amount of money on a wooden, basically, kids' shed. So that's where it came from.
Well, there is the old joke, isn't it? The kids are more interested in the box that their toys come in than the actual toys.
I mean, exactly.
But what I really liked about this cardboard castle is using it as a cardboard castle, a bit of a play area is great. And you did a video about this a few years ago. But what I also like about it is you cut a hole in it, you hide, or your child hides in that box and uses it as a bird hive or an idea to see what wildlife comes into the garden.
Do you remember that?
No, but
We were very young when we did that.
Like if you was really small and you could fit in a box.
Yeah.
Put little holes and you can look.
Yeah, you did it when you were little.
Yeah.
You did it as a video somewhere of you doing it.
Really?
Yeah, when you were small, yeah. So yeah, that's a really good way. I tell you what, also another thing is if you're growing vegetables in the summer, it makes a great den. But if you think about it, when it gets to winter, you can then put that over some of your beds to keep the soil warm over winter.
Yeah. Yeah, and it biodegrades down.
And it biodegrades down. There you go. What can I say?
Jenny is saying, my kids are making nettle tea, weed tea, etc., and learning about fermentation, nutrition, and how the garden can support the garden. How the garden can support the garden. Smelly, sloppy, and messy, but fun.
It's a good idea. We've not done that before. Would you like to do that? Like make nettle tea
and weed tea.
What's nettle tea?
What's nettle tea and weed tea? Well,
so you're making your own plant food, basically, using either nettles that you've cut down or weeds.
Sort of mix up and then pour it over your plants.
Oh, yeah.
You don't drink it?
Not drink it, right?
No.
I made some elephant poo tea once.
Elephant poo? When was that?
A while ago, I got some elephant poo. Don't ask me how. It was a nightmare.
Was it real elephant?
I was lucky not to get trod on.
Was it real elephant?
It was real elephant. You actually brought it in a painting, and I made elephant poo tea. So very similar, but in a watering can, and it worked. It stunk. It really smelled.
Yeah,
but it really worked.
Yeah.
How did you get the elephant poo tea? How did you get the elephant poo?
I broke into Colchester Zoo, and on the case of poo, if you get tiger poo, this is not a joke.
Yeah, no.
It will stop the cats from pooing in your garden. It's a bigger cat
predator.
Yeah, predator.
Yeah, but I thought they weren't allowed to sell it anymore.
No, I don't know where you can get it from, but if you look for the right places, on the black market, cat tiger poo.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have thought about making these teas. I mean, this is something we do on the allotment. But for kids, I mean, you're already interested in it, aren't you, Olive? So this is research going on while we're going live. So we've got one idea. There you go.
If it's smelly and it's messy, kids are generally down for it. I like that.
No, not as much smelly to me, because if it's smelly and it's dirty, like really dirty and smelly, I wouldn't like play with it or anything.
You wouldn't want it.
No.
Okay. Jim says he's trying to figure out my T-shirt. It's a bit of fun. It's lead, as in lead Zeppelin, and a picture of a Zeppelin with a lead bar there.
I have looked at you all day, and now I see it. I only just realised.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. Bit of fun of a T-shirt. Why lead, not lead? Because the picture, it's a play on words, because the picture is a lead bar with the chemical symbol PB.
Come on, Jim.
I've got another one for Iron Man, which is an iron bar.
Oh, something to look forward to next Sunday, everyone.
No, I think no, I won't be wearing that next Sunday.
Keep next Sunday a surprise, mate. That's what we're all really here for.
Yeah. So, what other activities, gardening activities, have you enjoyed doing, Olive? I'm just using it as you see it. Far more importantly.
What do you think?
Like from the book? Or...
Doesn't have to be. If you can be from the book if you want. We're not going to sell the book. It's all right. From anything that you do in the garden, what sort of things entice you out into the garden? What drags you outside?
Like the things that make me want to go outside is like all the fun stuff, and sometimes I just want to sit outside because I might get hot and I just want to
chill out.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important point, because I think if we want to, as parents and adults, do some important jobs, which sometimes needs to be done, it can't always be kids fun, because especially over 6 weeks old, they would never get anything done down the plot or in our garden. If you haven't those fun aspects, like we've got a mud kitchen. You love the mud kitchen, don't you?
Yeah, I do play in the mud kitchen sometimes. It doesn't have as much mud in it anymore.
Needs refilling with mud. Noted. Okay.
So I don't play with the chalkboard much anymore because there's not much chalk.
Right. So what you're saying is you need a refill tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Noted. Yeah. So if we have these fun aspects that mean that I can get on with and currently
and
with.
Also, these are one of the things I like playing. Thought that's fun in the garden. It's like the tube things you speak through.
Oh yeah, so we've got some sound tube things where you can speak down one end of the tube and then the other end. That always works.
A bit like the old having two tins on a piece of string.
Similar, very similar, but a bit more of a robust version. Yeah, I know you can do that. Yeah. So anyway, if you don't have them fun aspects of children in the garden, then you can't get on with some of the more serious stuff, which means your progress of your garden can slow down a bit. And, it's not about, like I used to feel a little, what? I was just looking out in the garden, sorry. It's not about feeling guilty. I felt guilty about it to begin with. But it's actually really important to have those bits so you can do stuff, Sorry, I was looking out there because I haven't done this for a while, so usually I'm just speaking in a microphone and just like dazing off into the distance.
Rebecca is asking, what is the book called?
That is a great question, Rebecca, because the book is called How to Get Kids Gardening by the Skinny Jean Gardener. It's packed full of loads. Wait a minute, packed full of loads of ideas, and it's available right now on the Skinny Jean Gardener website, skinnyjeangardener.co.uk/shop.
Why is it called the Skinny Jean Garden? Why does it called How to Get Kids Gardening with the Skinny Jean Garden in it when I'm literally on the front?
A big. Why is it called that? I mean,
normally a book would just have like the name of the person and.
Yeah, me.
You.
You're on it as well. What you're saying, you need me to rewrite the front cover. Okay, we'll sort that out.
No, I didn't mean that. I just
no, we'll do it now. I'll get in touch. I'll get him to change it.
Rebecca says many thanks. So hopefully going to make one more sale and I'll take my 50% question.
Sure.
I mean, jokes aside, I've actually got that book and I've bought it for my niece, and she loves it. And she'll go out and do things in the garden. She'll just flick through and say to me, "Can we do this or that?" Again, I mean, the one thing she wants me to do is the mud kitchen. Unfortunately, her parents won't let her have the mud kitchen in our house, so because they're stupid.
Oh,
I don't know why. I think her dad just doesn't like
getting dirty with mud.
No, he likes getting dirty with mud, but to them the garden is a pristine place, I guess, and they don't want anything upsetting the adult nature of a garden. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. But there's many ways that you can. Again, it goes back to what we said very at the start of the show. It needs to be a plan and as a family in the garden, so you have all of the aspects that work together in unison. So just because you've got a mud kitchen doesn't mean it has to be smack bang in the middle of your garden or a trampoline. It doesn't have to be smack bang in the garden. You can work it into the design. I think that's important.
Wasn't it Monty that said that if you want the kids in the garden, then their stuff needs to be in the garden where you can see them, not down the far end where they usually are and forgotten about. Where you can see them, where you can actually get involved with each other.
Yeah, it should be weaved throughout the whole gun design.
Like where if you're not like when you go in the garden, you're just sitting in the garden and you've got loads of stuff. It's just like forgotten about, so you don't use it.
Yeah, you're right, 100%. Yeah. Definitely right.
Jenny says a future editor in the making there, meaning you. Rebecca says, yeah, I'm starting the gardening at school, so going to treat myself to that book.
Oh, nice one.
Good idea. Now, Anne Wright, welcome to the show, Anne. Thinking back to my childhood long ago, I remember generally helping my parents do whatever task they were doing. E.g., Dad pushed the mower using the tool handles, and I would be holding on lower down.
That's cool.
It's a bit like the mum pushing the trolley around the supermarket. The kid always holds on to the bottom to try and make it like it's doing it as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've never heard of a lawnmower. I'll be very afraid to do them.
H&S would have a field day with that, wouldn't they? Let's be honest.
But back in the day, it probably wasn't. I mean, these were probably push on. No, look at that. I'm assuming it could be a push on lawnmower.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, it might be a bit different, I suppose. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I think that's really good. I mean, that's sort of. I was going to say, Olive got a little baby lawnmower, a little toy lawnmower when I bought my lawnmower, and I thought personally it would work, but she was not having it. I thought she'd just sit there and pretend to do a lawnmower and I'd actually do the proper one, but it didn't quite work out. And I think that the point I'm trying to make is that with children, I'm not saying give them their own lawnmower, but especially with tools, I always talk about children's tools, and the colourful ones look great, but actually
last 5 seconds.
They last 5 seconds, and you want to have the kids thinking they're really part of it. So getting like the proper gardening tools is important. And
well, I think also kids get worried about breaking stuff or when their stuff breaks. So those tools that you try and dig the soil with and it just breaks. I mean, we've all known it. And I think the kid would be worried that they're going to get told off for that as well.
Yeah, which Olive would be, yeah. I'm joking. I'm joking. If you broke the tools...
Yeah.
Oh, be trouble.
But I mean, I was going to mention that they're buying the decent tools. I mean, they're a bit of money, but they do what are basically smaller version of proper tools.
Yeah, they last longer as well, don't they? Like part of our school plan, we give the class like proper. I don't think I've got one in the studio. Yeah, anywhere, but they're proper tools anyway. And they work really well. And I think, if you're gonna, my nan always says, buy. What did she say? What they say? Buy once,
buy cheap, buy twice.
Yeah, buy cheap, buy twice. Yeah, and I never used to listen to that. Of course, I didn't. But now it does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yes, a true push mow. I thought it was the way it was being described, so that makes sense. And Jenny says, "Precious memories, Anne. I remember my grandparents' greenhouse and the smell of warm tomatoes growing. Close my eyes, and I go straight back." Yes, I mean, Granddad's greenhouse that I have on the allotment at the moment. I always remember as a child going in there when he was on my granddad's place, and that smell of tomatoes growing. And every time I think of that greenhouse, that smell hits me.
Yeah,
from
definitely.
my childhood.
Yeah, I love the smell of tomatoes. Are just rubbing the leaves and smell it like is the best smell ever. I think, honestly.
Yeah. I mean that seems like a good area to sort of start what got everybody else into gardening when they were a child.
Yeah.
Which I think is where we'll probably start asking the question next. First of all, if you are enjoying this show, please do give us a like, a thumbs up, a follow, a subscribe, and click the notification so that you know we go live. Should have asked you to do that a bit earlier, but never mind.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, when we started gardening, I started when I was about 10 years old. We had this area at the very top of the house I lived in with my mum that my dad's he had built a fence around it and had his own vegetable patch there. He built this fence out of pallet wood, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And it lasted years, lasted a really, really long time. When my parents got divorced and my dad moved away, this area at the top just became a bit of a jungle, bit of a bramble patch, if you like. And I think I was about 10 years old, and I just decided one day on my summer holidays as well, funny enough, to turn that back into a vegetable patch.
That is not a normal thing for a 10-year-old to think.
It's not.
But very cool.
But it's what I might have been a bit older than 10, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was around that sort of age.
That's cool.
And my granddad always grew, as I said, I knew he grew tomatoes. He always grew vegetables in his back garden.
Yeah.
So, and as a child, he grew up on a plant nursery with his parents. So I guess in some ways it was in my blood. And I think we've said this before about it being like that. But to me, it was just a natural thing to do as a child, grow food, grow things like that. You didn't have such a same...
I had a terrible childhood, mate. Can you put violins on the background of this?
No,
that was a trumpet. No, I had a good childhood, but my dad will dispute this just in case he's watching this, but he will dispute it. But we had a garden where we were allowed to look but not touch, so we're not allowed to play a football. In fact, Olive, you're allowed to play football in the garden now, aren't you?
Yeah.
In Nan and Granddad's garden. Anything, see? It's all right for grandkids.
I can just do bat and ball.
Bat and ball, yeah, exactly. But when we were when I was a child, we weren't allowed. And
why?
I don't know. You have to ask Granddad. You have to ask him. But so yeah, I never got into gardening at all. When I was younger, we did a little bit at school, which was just like a little dirty pond. We used to do pond dipping in, and that was it. And then I went into a secondary school. And obviously, did nothing at secondary school. It was a very difficult place to try and get gardening in. And then left school, and then nothing until I was 26. So
at our school, we have there's a quiet garden. We just be quiet, watch nature, and we have a little pond. Just sit and chill there. But when we got the big field, our big field, just play. But it's not that calm as the quiet garden. But our playground is like the big field, but just without grass.
Right, okay.
So the big field and the normal playground are really loud, but when the quiet garden is just calm.
See, I think gardening probably at schools now, and what I've seen has massively changed, and and the spaces they give children are very different. But like I say, for me, it wasn't something until I got into I was 26. So for once in children's gardening, I have got no experience in garden as a child myself.
Yeah. Let's just quickly go through these comments. Jenny says, I buy children's garden tools for me as they help with the mobility issues. There's some super tools out there that are good size for children. I think that's what we're saying. There's kids' garden tools out there that are either made of plastic and kind of really designed or only suitable for using on the beach.
Yeah.
They're no good. The ones that are like, what it sounds like,
get one for you.
He's going to get one. But the ones that I feel are more like an adult tool, just a smaller version, I think that's where people need to have their money spent. So you've got yourself.
So this is one of the tools that we give for the school gun success plan, and I suppose you can't really see on this screen, but it's not a full size trowel. It's a smaller trowel for children's gardening.
Yeah.
Like the big ones, and these are like little.
So these are much smaller and easier for children to be able to handle.
So they won't hurt them.
Yeah, and they feel like they're part of it. So
I've got to admit, when you first pulled it out, I thought it was just a standard trowel. Now I've holding it and I can see, it is just a slightly smaller version, but that feels like it's going to last. I would use a tool like that in my garden without any worries.
I've got them tools which I can be a little bit bad at looking after tools.
Yes,
so
you can.
I can. So sometimes they will sit outside all over winter and it just have the weather smashing down on them. I've got tools like that that are still good. Like the handles are still good, the metal's still good on it, and they still work, and they just sit outside all the time. So, so that's what we want. And I'd love to. I should probably do a test on them little rubbish plastic ones and them tools left outside all year round, see what happens, because I can guarantee who the winner will be.
Digwell's back now. He's just had a power cut.
Oh, I did wonder.
Yeah. And Anne Wright, that hands-on childhood has a profound effect as later in life, in my 30s, I changed my career. I went back to horticulture college and now work as a gardener.
Amazing.
That's a similar story to you, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah, well, gardening got me. I changed career into the whole gardening industry, and before that, I was an electrician. So as soon as I got that bug for gardening, I was like, I want to stay in this industry, and turns out teach children gardening.
Was a gardener. That's your job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I do agree that as children are encouraged, I mean, again, I go back to when I was a child, and I guess my auntie would say I was always interested in gardening anyway, and plants and stuff. But I always hid it from people that I went to school with and what have you.
It's like a secret.
It was a very much a secret, and part of that was it wasn't seen as cool. It was just a thing that your grandparents would do. But now here we are. I mean, I'm in my 40s, you're in your 30s, and all these people now have gardens, and they're suddenly, especially lockdown.
Yeah.
And I think it was starting to happen before then. But when people get their houses, they get their gardens. I know we are lucky to have gardens in some cases, but they've suddenly realised what gardening is actually all about.
Well, I can only use our garden as an example. Before lockdown happened, we never used to see anyone in the gardens, and now a lot of people use them.
Like no one would go out.
No.
Like no one would go out in the garden that much because in lockdown they wouldn't.
Well, no, a lot more people popped out in lockdown. I did wonder whether it would just be a lockdown thing, but it turns out that a lot of people use them more, and there seems to be a bit more community around the garden. So that's quite nice.
Yeah. But then even now, some of these people that I went to school with, and they see what I'm doing with the podcast, they're truly in awe. They truly are amazed, and they will often send me messages asking for advice and things.
Yeah.
When it was lockdown, I'm trying to.
You don't get so close.
Yes.
Can't.
You blow everyone's ears off.
Give a bit of space between it.
I know. When it was lockdown, you would go in the gardens, but you would see your neighbour. Just stay a bit back from them because you still see people.
Yeah.
But it was lockdown, so you stay back.
Yeah, we know what happened in lockdown, mate.
So it's nice to get out.
Yeah, it's nice to get out. Okay.
Yeah, but she does make a good point. And gardening in the front garden, for example, a lot of people who have gardened in their front garden have said that it's become more social. And same with an allotment. When I was on my allotment during the lockdowns, we had people walking past, going to their allotments, we were able to talk to.
Yeah. It's made a big difference in that sense.
And that's a child noticing that.
Yeah.
How old are you, Olive?
7.
A 7-year-old. Who would have been 5 at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a memorable thing. Do you think gardening's cool, Olive?
Yeah.
Do you think your friends think it's cool?
Well, some of my friends, because some of them say gardening is just mud and sprinkling.
Mud and sprinkling. That's what you're doing down there. You're just doing mud and sprinkling.
Yeah. Digwell says many of the COVID warriors have given up their plots on the site. That now that they have other things to do, real gardeners taking over the plots.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
So basically, the people who lockdown came along took on allotments, grow their own food. We're going to beat this, but weren't really that into it. It was just a thing. Now we've returned back to life. Well, when we were in lockdown, people weren't working as much.
Yeah, I think.
I
think that's what it is, and you notice that a lot more. I can guarantee that they all had the right intentions, and we all had so much more time to do stuff.
Yeah.
But then when, let's call it real life, come back in, then obviously that changed a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, real gardeners taking over the plot. Yeah, that's a good thing. Some of them have stayed though. That's the good thing about it. Some of them may never have experienced that in their life. Had that little time experiencing it, which is amazing. Could come back to them in the future. Who knows?
Yeah.
But there'd be some that would have stayed, which is a good thing. Who would have never got into it in the first place.
Yeah, I can think of several people that we know.
Yeah.
Who took on, and I say we know because they're Instagram gardeners or whatever.
Yeah.
Who took on or got into gardening during lockdown, and what they were doing on Instagram was amazing. They really did throw themselves into it.
Yeah.
And many of them are still doing it now. In fact, there's one person I can think of who went and done a show garden at Gardener's World.
Yeah.
Who would never thought of doing that before.
I can't think who you're talking about, but yes. Very good point.
Yeah. Digwell says only took on a plot due to lockdown. So,
well, there you go. Digwell's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it's like this is I want to say something about getting outdoors.
Yeah.
And stuff like. I know you want to people like to ring people to see them.
Yeah.
But if you want to get outdoors, go and see those people outdoors and have a picnic somewhere. Or something to get outdoors instead of just ringing someone.
Top tip.
Yeah. Now Jenny says, me and my neighbours still coffee in the front garden. Started in lockdown. We've fallen in love and will not be stopping.
There you go. Look at that.
Fall in love with it. Sorry, I forgot that.
Not with your neighbour though. You fell in love with your neighbour. Have I read that wrong?
No, fall in love with sitting in the front garden having coffee.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
I mean, yeah, it's a very good point, actually, when we were all doing that clapping in our streets.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
For our street, we were actually able to keep an eye on some of our elderly neighbours and those that lived alone through doing that.
Through clapping?
Through clapping.
Do you think we should just do that for security reasons every Thursday?
Why did we have to do clapping? Was it every Thursday or was it every day?
We didn't have to do it, but we did it to support the NHS.
Why did you have to clap outside your door?
Just to show support to the NHS.
Just to show support to the NHS, but it's a big subject I don't want to get into right now, but yeah.
But I think, but the whole thing that if our elderly neighbours continued out in their front garden, just gardening, we would see them. And this comes back to what I'm going to be talking about next week with Amanda's mum having this mild stroke. Because she lives on her own.
Yeah.
Had she not been able to get to the phone, and then the worst happened, nobody would know for days.
In fact, do you know what would be this is a business idea for you, Suggs, right? Yeah. Let's call it, this is just a name at the moment, but security plant, right? So what you do is you have a pot out the front of your house. Right?
Yeah.
It's got the same plant every house.
Right.
When that plant dies, then you can get worried about that neighbour. So it's like a signal that, that neighbour's not looking after their plant.
But that plant could take a few days to die. By then it could be too late.
Radish? Oh dear.
But I take your point. Actually, as somebody, let's say somebody who does do a lot of gardening, the front garden suddenly deteriorates.
Yeah,
that might be a sign. This is something I think we'll discuss next week, though. So we have gardening and our health.
And the week after, can vegetables help with home security?
No, we're not going to.
All here on the Vegetable Podcast.
I was going to say, like, to make, if you live in a flat, like, and you want to do gardening, then you don't, because people that live in a flat don't have, like, a front garden or a back garden. So, like, if you want to do gardening, there's, like, a local park with, like, a field. You might want to go there and do some gardening. And then when you go there, and then that could, like, be your garden if you grow plants there.
Yeah, you're right. There's actually quite a few. If you really look for them, I think sometimes you have to really look. But community gardens, there's quite a few about. We've got one just over, not far from us actually, and it's not used as much as it probably should be.
Yeah.
So if you really look for them, they are out there.
Yeah.
They're just sort of undercover.
Yeah. I think I can think of several community gardens, but then I hear a lot of horror stories with community gardens as well, which.
Yeah, there's always politics. Yeah.
Politics, always a weird thing.
There you go.
Yeah. So I've just put the link if anybody does want to zap in for the last 12 minutes and add their final thoughts on this entire subject. I think we've really gone into this quite deep, I feel, but still only barely scratched the surface. I think getting kids into gardening it starts early.
Yep.
It has to start early, and it has to be not pushed. It has to be fun.
It has to be part of day-to-day living as well,
Yeah.
and it has to be something that you get. If you're a grandparent, it has to be that thing that every time the grandkids come over, it has to be, oh, we're going to go. Not has to be, but it would be nice to be part of the routine. Same with mums and dads. Be part of the routine every Saturday. Just start the weekend or end Friday. End the school on Friday, be coming home, doing a bit of gardening. Just bring that into routine. Bring everyone together and try not to force your ideas. As hard as it is, I know. Try and make them part of it and listen to them.
Yeah, and I think Stuart Jackson, if he was here tonight, he would also be saying that
he's all right, isn't he? The way you talk about him.
Sorry?
Stuart's all right, right?
Yeah, he's right.
If he was with us, then
he's I think he's on holiday. He was last week anyway. So he did message me to say he wouldn't be here. So,
okay.
But he always says that he puts a pot of seeds on the table and tells the kids to say whatever they want. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Letting them make their own mistakes. We kind of said this earlier, but we're recapping at the moment. Letting them make their own mistakes.
Yep.
Does the world a good.
Okay, I'm just getting a report at the moment of the football, mate. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Just in my ear right now, just getting a football report. Sorry about
that. And it's surprising what kids actually are interested in. As we've said with the bulbs, growing bulbs seems to interest them.
Yeah.
Weirdly. Well, it's surprisingly.
It's surprisingly.
But then the things that the marketing teams will set aside, like radishes, what kid is really interested in growing radish? I'd like to find actually a survey.
What their research is.
Yeah. And a survey of somebody's just scored. I've just had a cheer.
So go on, go and find out what's scored. Go.
So that's probably got a big radishes. But peas, I know kids really do like peas.
I think they're winner peas. I really do, especially, like I say, Olive come out of school very excited the other day. They've grown some little sweet peas and they're enjoying them. Yeah. So little peas in the pod, yeah, lovely.
And again, I know Ian Beddoes, he's probably watching the football. His grandkids, love growing the peas. They'll eat the peas before you even get to them.
Again, he's a perfect example of someone that's brought gardening into a routine when the grandkids come over. It's always, it doesn't grow, always, you're right, tomatoes and peas and stuff, but it's known that they're going to come and look after them and care for them and then hopefully harvest them.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. It's important.
Yeah. Now, I know, again, with my nieces, I've suggested that they have their own part of my garden that they can grow what they like in, but they don't come over enough for it to be worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, you could look after them a little bit, couldn't you?
Oh, yeah, I don't mind looking after them. It's more that if we're going to be growing, well, it's going to be vegetables, so that's all I grow in my garden, edibles. But if we're going to be growing something like courgettes, I want them to be there harvesting it.
Oh, yeah. Invite them over more, mate.
Yeah, I know. I could do that. Jenny says kids growing veg can help them to try new vegetables, as you said. Being in the process can encourage them to try the end result, plus a fun menu rather than just the veg on its own. Better still, barbecue them.
Oh yeah, we love to barbecue.
We do love barbecues.
We do love barbecue. It's a very good idea, and like I say, it does get them eating more veg. Maybe if I started growing radishes, you might eat them.
Yeah, but if I try one, don't like it.
Yeah.
You stop growing radishes, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah, you're right.
Keep trying.
Keep trying.
I mean, again, radishes aren't exactly something you find on school menus that often.
All I'm saying about radishes, right? I've not got like a massive campaign against radishes. What I'm saying is, as a starter, as a something for a primary school child to start growing, I don't believe radish is the one.
At school, I don't think they grow like much vegetable food type.
Well, there will be now because they've got a school garden success plan.
Yeah, but they don't like, when they didn't have it, there weren't like much vegetable type because there were no just flowers would be like the.
Yeah, but on that note, and radishes is the example we're using a lot of, but there are other things that they could be growing that they might be a bit more interested in. Carrots, yeah. Now, carrots always surprise me that kids love to eat carrots. I think they're quite a sweet, nice tasting vegetable.
Yep.
But when they're growing them in the garden, they can't actually see what's going on until they harvest
surprise, though, isn't it? It's a surprise.
Potatoes are another one that are good for that, I feel, because again, you can't know what you got until you dig them up, and it's like a treasure hunt.
When I grow carrots, sometimes I just have to wait a few days because I only have carrots with gravy, so like that's as I don't grow carrots that much, but I like to grow carrots.
Okay.
Because I like them only with gravy. So
we're roasting. I like them on a Sunday, everyone.
So Anna Jones has came up with a good point. Did anyone mention growing pumpkins for Halloween for kids?
Yeah.
Has Olive ever done that?
Yeah.
Haven't you? We have. I do like growing pumpkins. I think it's a really good one. And if we go talk about the patience thing again, having something that you have to start in February, March time, and you have to wait till October until we harvest it is good. One thing that me and Suggs do disagree on is what you do with them. Olive, how was my pumpkin soup? Was it last year I made pumpkin soup?
No.
What was the year I made it and you were like...
It wasn't nice though, but I also think when you grow pumpkins, they start off really small.
They get bigger and bigger.
Bigger and bigger. But then when you carve them out, once you've carved them out, like in the faces for Halloween, they just die.
Well, that is actually Richard's point. Yeah, that's Richard's point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of growing pumpkins for carving. In my personal, I wouldn't do it, is what I would say. I'm not. Anybody else wants to do it, fine. I don't have any right, But my point is that a pumpkin is a food source. The ones that we grow for carving, do not taste the best.
No.
But the ones that are our food sources can taste very, very nice. But they put all this effort into growing this pumpkin, and you're going for the biggest ones for it just to end up on the compost.
One thing I would say is it's better to grow if you are going to carve, better to grow your own, because if you're buying a pumpkin from a supermarket for £1, how has that been grown, and what farmer is getting done over for a pumpkin that's being put in? 50p I've seen some pumpkins go for. And there's always a lot of waste. So if you are going to carve them, try growing your own, especially with children. One of the things, I tried it, I didn't make the best soup, but I tried.
That's important.
I don't think pumpkin soup is a bit sort of hard to make.
Well, it's not actually, but I'm not a great cook. But I think if you're going to do it with children, have a pumpkin to carve, but also have a pumpkin to eat, so you can see both sides of the story.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Now, Jenny also says spinach was our best success. Now it's eaten raw, blanched, pancakes and smoothies. I mean, spinach is one that I would be looking at replacing radishes with, because they are quite quick to grow.
They are, that's true. Do you know what I think we have struggled with spinach, getting kids to eat spinach now, is we don't have Popeye on TV anymore.
Yes, good point.
So,
What's Popeye?
exactly, what's Popeye? Bring back Popeye if we want kids eating spinach.
What is Popeye though?
He's a cartoon.
He used to eat spinach and it'll make him nice and strong. And he'll go...
Does spinach actually make you nice and strong?
Well, if you watch Popeye, you'd know, definitely.
But does it actually make you strong in real life?
Well, it's pretty healthy. It's good for...
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't give you massive muscles instantly like Popeye, no.
But
anyway.
we carve, Jenny says, we carve pumpkins grown to eat, all shapes and sizes and colours. Pumpkin puree, easy to make and freeze. Yep. We use pumpkin for pumpkin pie, which goes down really nice, and we use that puree. That note on Popeye, and it got me thinking about other things where vegetables over the years. So the rumour that carrots are good for making you see in the dark. Do you know that?
It's not a rumour.
No, it's not a rumour.
Is it?
But close your ears, Olive. But do you know where it started from? Do you know the story behind it?
I don't actually. Do you know?
Yes, I do. So it was during World War II. We invented this thing called radar, and we could see these bombers coming across the sea. So we wanted to hide the fact that we had this newfound technology. So the British government started this propaganda that carrots were good to see in the dark.
No way.
Yeah. And that's continued on with encouraging children to eat carrots.
As you know.
If you don't eat carrots, then you can still see the car.
Not as good as me. Not as good as me, because I eat my carrots when I was younger.
Oh yeah, but if you don't eat carrots, but you can see in the dark, how did that happen? Some people can see in the dark even though they don't eat carrots.
Richard?
They could see better in the dark. Better. Yeah.
I've not eaten many carrots recently, hence the reason I've had to get glasses.
And you got to remember, back in World War II, the world was a lot darker back then.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have so much street lighting.
Street lighting, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rich.
So we're coming to the end of the show because it is very nearly 7:30. Ooh. So not just green UK fingers. I grew a pumpkin in 2019. That's 24 stones and 8 pounds.
Amazing.
It tasted horrible, never again. Yeah.
If you're going to grow big, it's not going to taste great.
No, it's not going to taste great. I mean, I like the edible, what are classed as the edibles, the Crown Princes or the Rogue 15 Tempers, or however it's pronounced, because they do taste good. Anyway, it is 7:30 now. I think this has been a really good discussion. I've got to say that you guys have really got involved in. Next week, as I say, I want to know how gardening has helped your health. I'm sure we can get some photos or videos on that subject, and I'm sure we're going to get a good answer. So hopefully you'll be watching.
I'll be watching.
Hopefully Olive will be watching.
Olive, will you be watching?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Not a definite.
Jenny says, thank you for a fantastic show, Richard, Lee, and the star of the show, Olive. Anna says, thanks for the chat, everyone. Great input from Jenny and Olive.
Nothing. Just nothing.
But no, I've got to say, this has been a great input, great discussion. I know Rebecca is looking at starting a gardening school club, and hopefully it's helped for that.
Definitely.
Lee, thank you so much for coming in tonight.
Anytime. I love it, mate. It's been a while.
But yeah. Olive, you've been a real star. And thanks so much for actually telling us what works because we adults don't really know, do we? But on that note, if I just set myself up ready to finish, we will let, there we go. I think we're going to let Olive have the final word. Olive, what do you want to say?
Anything you want to say at the end of the show?
Gardening is good.
Gardening is good.
There you go.
Gardening is good. There we go. And with that, thanks so much, everyone, for joining. Look forward to seeing you all again next Sunday. I'll be on my own, I suspect, in a sense. Somebody does join me in the shed. We'll be back in the podding shed. So until then, please take care. And what was it? Great gardening. Gardening is good.